This being the time and place of the scheduled April 22nd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting, I'd like to call us to order. Please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Here.
Gordon. Here. Dave. Here. Wade. Here. Terry. Here. Temple. Here. Burrows. Here. Hyde. Here. Pepper.
Okay, we do have a quorum today. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from March 2025 meeting? If not, do we have a motion and a second to approve those?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gordon, second by Mr. Way. All in favor state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, those minutes pass unanimous. Okay, I'd like to take a minute to introduce the Planning Commission members and give a brief description of what we do and how this meeting is conducted. The commission has 9 members. 8 of us are volunteers appointed by the mayor for a 6-year term, and then there's 1 member from the city council. My name is Kent Lawrence. Our vice chair is Gary Borden. Our secretary is Larry Way. We also have Eddie Pike, Francis Tate, Myrna Burrows, Ross Terry, and Torch Temple. Hunter Pepper is the council member, and he's not here today. Members of the public seeking to get an item considered by the Planning Commission must send an application to the Planning Department not less than 21 days prior to this meeting. Unless otherwise specified, all applicants for development approvals are the result of submittals by a private citizen seeking some change in their own property. In making our decision, a primary tool used by the Planning Commission is the One Decatur Comprehensive Plan. This is the general community plan for the city of Decatur, was adopted through a public process to formalize a vision for the future of the community that represents the interest and will of all Decatur residents. In many of these cases, the Planning Commission does not have final say. Zonings, annexations, vacations, sidewalk cafe license, and some resolutions, including changing the name of a street, all require additional approval by the city council before they become official. In these cases, the role of the Planning Commission is to advise the city council. The first part of today's meeting is a public hearing. Each item will be read separately and voted on after comments and discussion. If you wish to comment on an item, we ask that you come forward to the microphone, state your name and whether you are a citizen of Decatur, and then make your comments. We ask that you keep those comments to 3 minutes or less. Today's public hearing will have these type requests: conceptual development plan or a master plan. This is a preliminary document showing the overall concept of how the entire property will be developed, the proposed usage, and occupancy, including all phases, with a time frame. All right, so Tommy, if you would read that first case, please.
Tommy Williams with the Planning Department. And first we have a master plan for Country Club Road. It is 79.57 acres. And the current zone is RD redevelopment. The applicant is Pure Right McAnally, and the landowner is Cook's Property, LLC. The location is 2401 Country Club Road Southeast, and their request is to approve their master plan. Their proposed land use is mixed use, and the One Decatur future land use is regional mixed use. One Decatur street typology is Country Club Road Southeast is a minor arterial. There are no conditions to be met, and a point of information is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who wish to speak to this request?
I got a question to ask.
First off, you have to state your.
My name is Michael Stovall. I'm a citizen of Decatur.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, I need to ask a question about Country Club Road. Now, have you all looked into that about the flooding? Is it bad flooding? Because it's always been flooding over there. I mean, when you put these houses there, are we going to improve that? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, it will approve it. We can ask an engineer to come up and explain that. You would step aside, Mr.
Blake McAnally, Pewright McAnally, 310 8th Avenue Northeast. So there is no floodplain on this development property. There are areas just up the road that do flood where the road is actually lower than the floodplain. This property will have required detention to meet the subdivision regulations of the city of Decatur to retain any increase in the rate of runoff, like any other subdivision that would come before you. That would happen in the preliminary plat, preliminary engineering phase, which would follow these approvals today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, my family is from the Wickerson family, and we own the cemetery out there. So my concerns is with Blackfoot Cemetery being right there, plus adding in that new rec center at Wilson Morgan, is that going to cause the flooding? Because, you know, when the flooding comes in that area, bodies go up. So I think that's something that we really need to consider, because not only do we have a cemetery right there, but we also have one across from Wilson Morgan Park. So all that's a floodplain right around in there. And I'm thinking once you put these buildings on there, it's going to cause more flooding. And I know when we go to funerals sometime and we go bury our loved ones, that there's water across the street. It's floods over there. You know what road I'm talking about?
You're talking about on Country Club?
Yes. Okay. And you can ask Curtis Fletcher about it a little bit more, and he can let you know.
Okay.
Thank you.
But the cemetery is being maintained, and, you know, just like anything else, they will make sure that it doesn't flood. Usually when we have a development, it helps that situation, because the engineering calculates the amount of water, and they put retention in to retain that, so that it helps the flooding situation.
Well, I'll be checking on it because I come out there at least about 3 times a month.
Okay.
So I'll make sure to keep my eyes on it.
All right. Sounds great.
Do we have everyone sign the paper?
Oh, yeah. When you come up, you need to sign too, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It'll help me.
My name is Terrence Atkins. I'm a citizen of Decatur, and I'm just going to piggyback off of Mike in regards to that cemetery. From what the plans look like, it seems like that cemetery is going to be placed behind a building under some trees. There hasn't been any reverence or historical reverence shown in this meeting towards that cemetery in that area. I know we probably haven't gotten the entire document from the Planning Commission and all of the things that are going on, but I just want to make sure that when it comes to that cemetery right there on Country Club Lane, that there's some reverence or some homage paid. I see that there's going to be a pond or a lake of some sort. It would be great if that connected to the cemetery or close to the cemetery, so people can see and understand and know what's going on and where they are in regards to this being built.
Okay. David, do you want to address that?
Again, David Horwath, Land Innovations. We hired, we've actually been looking for the people that have been maintaining the cemetery. We can find no formal deed in pretty extensive. We've had 3 local groups try to find the original deed. We are willing to partner and to. That'd be fantastic. And additionally, not knowing that info through the research and public records, we hired a third-party independent archaeology firm who we paid for ground-penetrating radar to go around the boundary, the perceived visual boundary of what was being maintained and what hadn't been maintained. And no connections were found here. As you can see on the plat, there are 2 cemeteries on this property. The ground-penetrating radar occurred on both of them. We have tried to be very respectful of these locations and want to work, now that we have a connection, in how best to ensure that this property is maintained and taken care of. And again, it's good to know we were trying to find someone to deed it to because we knew it was being maintained. But to know that there are records that exist out there, we will gladly collaborate and do our best to honor that cemetery.
Yes, sir.
Okay, for this development, there were several things that were stated.
Mr. Faruqi.
You know my name?
Like I explained before, there's people that are watching it that don't know your name. So if you would just state your name.
I'm Mr. Faruqi, and I'm a citizen of Decatur.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kent. Several things in this development that caused me, having heard over 27 years in military terms like this, that caused me to kind of refrain from fully wanting to accept what's being briefed. It briefs well. The guys that came up here and did that presentation, hey, that's top notch. But when you use terms like just in time, over 10 years, that should cue you in to there being a lot of potential mismanagement problems, other planning directives being built in and around this area. I would be reluctant if I was looking at buying a piece of property over there. And it seems like the price of the property seems to also be a concern because I'm not sure the citizens of Decatur will be able to fund that price in 10 years from now. I also heard for the first time, in accordance with the zoning regulation, there was a neighborhood meeting. Do you all know what was said in that neighborhood meeting?
I didn't.
Do you all know what was said? Because you're going to vote on this. Do you all know what was said in that neighborhood meeting? Do you, sir? Okay, so a neighborhood meeting for the first time that I've been aware since the zoning regulation came up occurred, and a majority of the personnel here do not know what was said at that meeting. So I would ask, perhaps you ask the developer to respond to what was said by the neighborhood who would have a concern of this thing being built in their backyard. So how many participated? How many people participated at this neighborhood meeting?
David, do you have that number?
Well, Kent, you were there.
I didn't count them, Mr. Faruqi.
Could you guess? That's good enough for me.
Probably
80? Is that right?
30? Over 100.
Okay, so it's over 100 or 30, so what was it?
Well, I said at first, probably 80 or so. So, I don't know exactly. I said I didn't count, but I think they have the exact number if you want to have it.
So do you have a list then from the 80 people there? What were the key concerns? You do. So could you present those for us? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Faruqi doesn't run the meeting.
I seem to be, actually.
No, sir. No, sir, don't. Sure don't. So, is there anyone on the commission that would like to hear this?
I felt like we already addressed those concerns as he made his presentation saying these issues were brought up and we made corrections and changes and adjustments.
Myrna, would you like to hear it?
I'm fine with the information that we have. And I reviewed a lot of this before the meeting, so my questions are answered.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Michelle Baker, and I'm a resident of Decatur.
If you would sign it.
I did.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I'm over on Apache Lane.
Okay.
I have been trying for months to get a hold of somebody from the Planning Commission. Once I got wind of what was going on, I have never gotten a letter. I've never gotten any notice. I did not get a notice about this one. My next door neighbor was kind enough to text me over a copy. I finally got a hold of the young man, I think his name's Josh in the Planning Committee? Josiah.
That's planning department.
Okay. So I got a hold of him, and he said, well, you probably just don't live close enough. And I was like, baby, I'm like spitting distance. So once again, I had no notice of anything till my next door neighbor texted me over a copy, and I understand that everybody had to sign for the letter. My neighbors on the other side of me, the Wilders and the Fights, they were notified. I'm right there. We have owned that house since 1974.
Okay.
I've been paying the taxes on the house. I'm the legal owner of the house. I wasn't notified of anything. So I don't know what happened at the neighborhood meeting. I don't know what other concerns. I know what my concerns are, but it would be nice to know what's going on, because I wasn't afforded the information to let me know what was happening.
Do we have her address and cross-reference to see if she should have got a notification?
I mean, yeah, I have the list on everything I send out, so I can look at your address as long as I have it. And,
It's 1508 Apache Lane.
I mean, do you want me to look it up now?
That would be lovely.
Yeah. So, you know, the neighborhood meeting was something that the developer did. It wasn't something that the planning commission did. They did it on their own.
Yeah.
So,
So that's your house.
as far as questions that you may have, he's here now. We can try to get any questions you have now answered. We'd be glad to.
I've got an arm length because I don't know what y'all have been told, what their plan is. None of that was afforded to me, so I don't know. We've got traffic right now, as I understand it, the only access going in and out is going to be off Country Club Road. No access from 6th Avenue. So then you're,
So that's 500 feet, and your house,
that's me.
so you're right out of the.
You're right on the 500 feet.
It's, okay, so
I
here's,
understand that's also a reason why we put signs on the property, so you know about this, you know.
and thank goodness that my next, but
Yeah.
can you explain to me why the fights to the left of me, they're the house directly to the left, they got a notification.
This one?
Yep.
Or was it this?
Nope, Wilder's got one to the right, Fight's got one to the left.
This is the list you go.
I'm just saying that,
We don't know what.
We really don't know.
Where they stay.
And also, this went through a rezoning the month prior, or 2 months prior, so it could have been something with that also.
well, and that's when I called and spoke to Josiah to find out, okay, what's going on. So now what I have been told, and you don't know what's fact and what's fiction, was that y'all were looking at, in order to curtail traffic coming from 6th Avenue and cutting through, to give a quicker access than going down 67 and coming up Country Club, was that y'all were considering closing off Fairway in Apache so that there was no access off a Country Club so that there wouldn't be any cut through.
That's incorrect. We're not considering that.
Okay, because you know, between 4 and 6, you can't turn left coming off of Fairway to turn left on 6th Avenue.
But that's inaccurate. We're not considering close to that's all.
Okay. Where can I find information about what the plan is, since I was left out of the knowledge base?
Do we have an extra plan right there that we could give her? She can have mine. She can have mine right here.
Can I approach?
Yeah. Yeah, it is online, but you're welcome to have this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Denise Williams. I am a citizen of Decatur. I live on Fairway Drive. And I've been to all of the planning meetings. I've been to the neighborhood meeting. They have been very nice in trying to explain their plan. But a lot of the concerns that were expressed during that meeting are things that are out of their hands. They are actually in your hands. Like the fact that our neighborhood will now be a cut through to 6th Avenue. What's the plan? I mean, we're kind of getting hit from both sides because we're going to have people zooming from Country Club through Fairway Drive to get to 6th Avenue, and then now, thanks to someone's stupidity, we're having that Taco Bell go there, and so they're going to have to come into Fairway Drive to go to the Taco Bell, and they won't have any exit onto 6th Avenue either. So now Fairway Drive is we are getting hit from both sides with tons of traffic. What are you going to do? We have children that play on that street. We have families that walk on that street. I mean, this is a great neighborhood that y'all are turning into, a race lane. It's bad enough that we have Lynn Layton, they come do their test drives through our neighborhood, so as soon as they get on that straightaway, they gun it. it doesn't matter if they go airborne on that one little thing, they still gun it down the street. So now we're gonna have all of these people cut through our neighborhood because it's gonna be quicker to go through Fairway Drive than it will be to turn right and go all the way around to get to 6th Avenue. Nobody's gonna do that. So what I would like to ask is to have no left turns going on the Country Club and just have, from these developments, just do the right turns only. I understand there's one already like that. Can we get the other ones like that so that way everybody will be forced to go right and go through 67 to get to 6th Avenue? Because, I mean, I understand that they did the traffic study. I think numbers on paper are great, but when you actually live there and the reality of it is sometimes different from what the numbers get. And what I'm really worried about is, man, if somebody has an emergency, how is the ambulance going to fight through that traffic? Because there is no way to go around it. If they get backed up on Country Club, there is no way for ambulances, fire, police to get to us. Not in a timely manner. They're going to have to go all around Creation, and heaven forbid they get stopped in that, because there's nowhere to go.
And you're talking about eliminating the right turn into going around through Country Club to 67. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would like everybody just to have right turns, so that way they go from the development, they turn right, they go to 67, then they can go.
Notice, I mean, at AM or PM peaks, I mean, they're backed up already because you have a really small turn lane getting on.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's just going to add to that congestion.
Well, I mean, Country Club, it's 2 lanes. So yes, you're saying it's going to add to that congestion, but it's also going to add to the congestion of people cutting through our neighborhood. I mean, I'd rather them sit at that light.
So you're not going to get out of Fairway or Apache, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry, say that again?
It's going to back up so much where you're even going to block your exit from your neighborhood if you were to reroute traffic.
I mean, people are going to just be cutting through our neighborhood. We don't want people to cut through our neighborhood. We want to try to protect our neighborhood. And if they have any other alternatives, I'd be glad to listen to it. But, I mean, what are you going to do to protect our neighborhood? What are you going to do to protect our streets, to protect our family and our kids that are playing in the front yard from getting run over? Because right now, my kids take the school bus every morning, and I can sit there and I can count the number of people that go around that school bus. Even with the little stop signs, they still go around that to cut through. So as a planning department, what are you going to do to fix that?
We can't control how people drive. There's nothing we can do about it.
No, but you can control the flow of traffic.
I agree. And
Yes.
every neighborhood in the city could ask not to be a cut through. We all have to cut through neighborhoods to get to different places. Now, and I agree, this will increase traffic on your street. There's no doubt about that. Anytime you grow, put more people, you increase traffic.
I mean, that's a lot of people, though. I mean, you are talking about 400 houses that are going there.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you're talking about at
the
least each
assumption
house
that
has
every
2
one of them
cars.
are going to cut through there, and that's not necessarily the case.
If they go to 6th Avenue or anywhere going towards downtown, yeah, they're going to cut through. That's going to be, that's just what's going to happen.
Thank you.
My name is Stan Ainge. I'm a resident of Country Club Lane. I'm going to go back to when Cooks bought the property from the club. Brian Cook made a statement at a meeting they held for us that we will not be using Country Club Lane for ingress or egress. When you had the rezoning the 9.8 acres that adjoins this property, I brought that up, and you said that wasn't really addressed at that point because it was not, Country Club Lane did not run into that 9.8 acres. But you said if Cooks made that statement to you, we can hold them to it. Well, I want them held to it. When Cooks had this meeting a week or so ago at the museum, I brought that point up. Brian Cook got up and said, I do not recall whether I made that statement or not. He did not deny it. But if I did, I misspoke. Well, I have someone else here that's one of the few remaining living residents that were at that meeting that will vouch that he said we will not use it. And I want them held to it. If you'll pull up the street.
Let me correct one thing. What I did say was that if that was written, that we could hold them to it. We can't hold them to
Okay.
a verbal statement.
All right.
Like there is a 100-foot buffer on the Fairway Lane side. It's noted on the plat that way, so we can hold them to that, those things. But what you're mentioning is not written anywhere, so we have no authority to hold that.
Okay, are they going to put turn lanes on Country Club Road?
You want to address that?
The traffic engineer that has done the study for the development, Skipper and Associates, has determined an awful lot about the traffic. That report has been provided to the city. It's been reviewed by the city engineer and the traffic division of the Decatur PD. Turn lanes, as the development progresses, there'll be multiple phases. The first phase is the northernmost phase, and the left turns northbound from Country Club left turn will have turn lanes with appropriate stacking distance. So Country Club would be widened to provide a turn lane left into the development, as the second, which is only a ride out southbound towards 67. The next connection in a future phase would be basically left and rights out, left ends, and it will also have a center turn lane section. It will not be a center turn lane throughout the entire roadway, only where left turns need to take place.
Before you run off, are you going to have a turn lane here where Country Club Lane intersects Country Club Road?
It was not the expectation to have one there because we were trying to limit the traffic, and this Y design that is shown is to discourage traffic from coming down that road and using that as an entrance.
Let me ask you this. You've got a two-way in here. You have a two-way in here. In here. This
Correct.
is one way. It doesn't matter.
Correct.
Which way? All these people that live in through here, I think, where are they going to exit? They're going to exit right here.
They could exit one of these
They
three
could,
right
but
here.
they're not going to drive through all this maze. They're going to come right here to Country Club Lane and come down. You're creating a monstrous.
I disagree, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I would recommend that you take into account that you're going to create a very hazardous, and he just said they're not going to put a turn lane there where Country Club Lane
Right, and
intersection.
that's what you're asking. You're asking to not put more traffic on Country Club lanes.
Right,
Turn
they're
lane
going to
would.
make, it's going to become a major thoroughfare. If they'll pull up the street,
Okay.
that everybody that in this section over here, that's where they're going to exit through. And you get down there, and it's going to be some major wrecks and possibly deaths caused by people trying to get in and out. You're talking about the Fairway Circle people trying to get out on 6th Avenue. We've got the problem now on when like kids are getting out of school and people getting off of work, is there's some very dangerous trying to get out onto Country Club. And I think you're going to end up regretting if you don't have them move that entrance back up to here, which would just come, they could not have entrances off of Country Club Lane, but if they would create another entrance right here, which would just be a short thing and intersect with it, they wouldn't have the Country Club Lane problem. They cannot put a, yes, they can't put a turn lane in there because of the refuge.
If you would wrap up your time.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Can you turn it on where they know that? Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Hey,
Hey, I've already signed in. Cindy Eaton, and we own a property on Country Club Lane. And so my question would be, if you're going to keep the two entrances to the property off of Country Club Lane, is it in the planning to upgrade our road? Because for one thing, it's a narrow road. I mean, it's almost not wide enough for two cars to get by. There's no curbs and gutters. You know, it's just blacktop. Is in the plan, are y'all planning on doing something better with our road?
We'll let the engineer answer that question.
Okay, and then I have one other question.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It is the intention, Mr. Chairman, of the project, as the project progresses, there's multiple phases, but as it progresses, improvements will be made to Country Club. The partnership between the city and the development is expected. As it progresses south, those widenings will take place. As we get down to Country Club Lane, it's substandard for city regulations, and part of the same partnership with the city, the expectation is that road to be brought up to the minimum city standard widths, which it is short of right now.
Right, okay. And then the other question I have is the property values. You know, we're putting a lot of money into our place. And I'm wondering, with having all these different values of property, what's the high-end value? What's the highest value property? I wouldn't want my property to decrease because the values of the high-end houses there are lesser. So does someone...
David, you want to address that?
You know, make the question understandable?
I believe so. I'll try my best. T&D developments of this type and nature across the country produce exponential to market, above market rate of the surrounding area. The only we're doing 4 T&Ds. We're one of the largest T&D developers in America right now. Stevens Valley has been proceeding for 10 years. We are in a unique situation where we have Williamson County, one of the top wealthiest counties in America, and we have Davidson County, and on this west side, it is substantially lower performing. The development and the offerings that it provides and the desire of people to be able to walk and have access to that has substantially increased those that can walk to the development and be a part of the neighborhood center product type substantially more and faster than any of their neighbors that can't walk. So hopefully that provides
So
some.
on the high-end houses that's going to be there, what would be a value? Like, do you have a minimum value that you're going to require?
We are still doing market studies and analysis. I can tell you on a per square foot basis, we know what the city of Decatur averages. We have a lot of product offerings. We are not shooting below that. The fact that this project's taken 10 years shows the standards that we have put on ourselves that no other development in Decatur's history has ever self-complied with, would indicate that we strongly believe, otherwise we won't be doing it, that we will be raising that bar in comparison. So,
David, what would you say with that development, the mixed usability and other amenities that are going in, that does typically increase those surrounding the property?
100%. And in our Stevens Valley project, those across the road in a different county, not connected with what we're doing, have seen prices advance and increase at a rate that none of the other people in that area have seen. So yes, I can't guarantee, but historical, typical of T&D developments, because you're creating these desirable places. They're not one fix. It's not all just subdivisions. It's not all shelter. The neighborhoods weave into the fabric of what we're creating, and we take a lot of pride in that. And that's why we call it our town center and neighborhood center, because it's going to far exceed what we have, and hopefully through a variety of plans that are being looked at from a trail system, we can have even a greater impact than those that are right connected there.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kira Williams, and I'm a resident of Decatur. I actually live on Fairway Drive, and one of my concerns is that although Fairway Drive is not a floodplain, and so we've already brought up the issue of like kind of stormwater to cemeteries, and it's not a floodplain. As biologically, a floodplain is delineated to an area with a certain soil type, vegetation type, certain sort of like water management differences. But this is not a floodplain, but it is an area that floods, and especially the eastern portion of Fairway Drive floods pretty badly, especially in adverse weather conditions. With the fact that we're taking away the golf course, which is a kind of like an earth drain per se, and we're replacing it with a bunch of buildings and a bunch of pavement, how is that going to affect the Fairway Drive and the Fairway community with water? It's just going to cause a bunch more standing water. So what is something that y'all would be able to do for that as the planning committee?
Okay, we won't do anything, but I'm going to ask engineers to come up and explain what they will do.
Not a problem. I believe you had some good questions at our neighborhood meetings. So I haven't said this before, but I'm a licensed civil engineer. We start every design with stormwater. I've been a keynote speaker at national stormwater conventions. This is something we care a lot about. State of Alabama is one of the last states in the United States of America to adopt EPA's latest standards of MS4 permitting. What we have proposed and the request of the experimental subdivision standard of allowing us to treat stormwater in the right-of-way is going to raise the bar significantly and substantially. What I can tell the board here is we've taken this same model to Huntsville. We have talked to Wheeler Wildlife Refuge managers because both of the projects we're working on are some of the closest privately held properties to Wheeler Wildlife Refuge. They have been over the moon with what our proposals are and being able to not only slow the water impact down to the refuge, but treating it at the standard that we are proposing to treat it. So we take that very seriously. In a lot of cases, I believe I gave an example of me walking down a creek in somebody's backyard, and they were joyful that their grandkids could play in water, that their kids could not play in water once we entered the site and were able to implement our standards. So that is our expectation here that we plan to deliver for this project. So.
David, would you address that, like she brought up, that there is a flooding issue in the area just outside of this project? How will this project affect that?
So as we continue with we are not in the engineering design phase of the project yet. This is the master concept plan. As we continue through the phase, Pugh Wright McAnally will be monitoring, we will be evaluating. This area has and Blake could talk to this a lot better than I can, there are not a lot of detention facilities on any of the developments. If you look at an aerial down 6th Avenue, there have been general easements that have been granted to the golf course to provide drainage routing to the Wheeler Wildlife Refuge, but not the standards. I'm going to let Blake continue that, but we will be improving that. I'll let Blake.
I would point out that in this part of town, there are no detention facilities. Stormwater detention in the city of Decatur became a requirement of developers in 1993. Every subdivision that surrounds this property and almost everything east of 6th Avenue has no stormwater detention. Honestly, that's where a lot of these problems come from. This development will have no net increase of runoff than exists today. Why? Because that's the requirement of the city's subdivision regulations regarding stormwater. So we'll have various forms of detention, bioswales. We will increase times of concentration, which I understand doesn't mean anything to you, but we will use all kinds of engineering technologies, the latest technologies that are being used across the country, as David mentioned, and just good engineering to control the stormwater runoff, such that it doesn't increase beyond what it is today. And it's significant today because we're talking about 80 acres of mowed grass. So, all of that will be in the preliminary engineering plans that come along in the coming months as the project moves forward. Those designs will be brought forward to Mr. Pruitt's office for review to ensure compliance with the city regulations.
Any other questions?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
My name's William Eaton. I've already signed in. I am a citizen of Decatur. It looks like some of the questions has already been answered about the flooding. They had mentioned about recycling the water, but you had said something about the 100 feet on Country Club Lane. The pond
On Fairway.
So there's not on Country Club Lane.
Is there anything on Country Club Lane?
There is a 60-foot no-touch on both the north and the south. In addition, there is a 50-foot where some improvements are permitted. We have maintained a 60-foot no-touch in both directions as per required per the agreements volunteered, self-imposed by the Cook family at the purchase. In the 50-foot, we do have some of the allowable improvements per the covenants that were self-imposed on the property.
So on Mr. Eaton's side, there's 50 feet.
There's in both sides, it's 110 total.
Okay.
Yeah, both sides have 60. You're on the Fairway Lane side, if I remember correctly. You're on the Country Club Lane, sorry. So there, yeah, there.
The pond there is what I'm concerned about.
Correct. So everything has maintained out of the 60-foot buffer as measured, as committed. The 50-foot would allow landscaping, pond, trees, very even driveways and things like that, but it's 60-foot is no touch. We have maintained exactly what was committed to.
So you guys have taken into consideration if Decatur City ever upgrades Country Club Lane, puts a 2-lane parking sidewalk, curbs and gutters. That's all. That's not going to be taken off of my side. It's going to be taken off of the north side as well.
So the city of Decatur has a existing right-of-way for there. They just have never developed the road to that standard. We have considered that it could be to that standard, but it would be utilizing the existing right-of-way, which is permissible and was designed to accommodate the expansion of the road.
So your answer is yes. So that is considered.
That is considered, yes, sir.
Okay, thank
So
you.
are you aware where the right-of-way is on?
I am, yes, but I wasn't aware of where the pond started and stopped there. The other question was the turning lane that's coming off of Country Club Road, coming into Country Club Lane. It's obvious that traffic's going to be coming in and being turned into the development, and it's obvious that they're putting traffic on our road. That traffic can't go anywhere because it's a dead-end road. They can't go up there and go out anywhere else. They've got to go into the development. So it's directing the traffic from the development into Country Club Lane into the development area. So that is putting more traffic on us. And whoever did the survey, as far as the traffic goes, from 3:30 till 6 o'clock, traffic is terrible trying to get on to 67. And also in the mornings coming in, people going to the medical centers, that kind of stuff and everything. Emergency vehicles, that's going to be a terrible thing. I don't know if you guys have taken that into consideration. If you talk to your fire departments, and that, we have ambulances and fire trucks coming down that road continuously from 16th Avenue and 67 Fire Department.
Let me speak to the intersection.
Okay, yeah.
So our firm has been working for a year with the City of Decatur to improve the intersection of Country Club and Alabama 67. That design is about 90% complete. It is at the Alabama Department of Transportation for review and approval of the plans. Those plans are to add a 4th leg to the intersection. So a leg going south into the property that's south of 67 would be a part of it. That would have right turns on 67 going in. On Country Club, as it's coming south into 67, it's a standard in traffic engineering that once you get 300 cars an hour trying to go left, you need 2 lanes, 2 lefts. And in fact, that is our design. The design has 2 Country Club southbound left turns to 67 southbound or towards Priceville. So that backup is a real thing, but this intersection design, which was started for a different project on the south side of the road, is also beneficial to this project in a major way. So that's a long way down the road to being approved and hopefully constructed by the city.
And to fire and police, both of those have been involved in this extensively. Got a lot of input from both fire and police.
I think that's all I got. I just hope it ain't too far down the road for us to have to deal with that traffic.
Yeah. Don't we all hope that?
Yeah.
My name is Gray Hughes, and I live on Fairway Drive. And I guess first of all, I want to say if anything has to go on the country club property, what is proposed is probably the best thing that could go there. There are many other things that could go there that would be totally against, but with this development, I can see some positives. The biggest negative in my mind is the increased traffic that's been talked about, cutting through Fairway Drive, Apache as well, and Country Club Lane. And I guess my question is, has anything been considered for an entrance off of 6th Avenue, say where the red light that goes into Kohl's and Jimmy John's, where you would have a red light access that people coming from the north or going north could get out that way?
I would address that.
So first, we have a representative from Skipper Consulting that analyzed current traffic patterns, and happy if you would like him to come back up and speak to do that. From a high-level overview, some things to note. The current traffic patterns are suffering because of the inadequacies of Country Club Road and 67 interchange as it exists today. It is causing 6th Avenue and 67 issues. And so what we're seeing in the traffic flow is people bypassing the backup intersection and the ripple effects of having the problems that 67 and Country Club Road are facing. Additionally, there are, from a cut-through perspective, there was nothing in the traffic impact analysis that indicated that it would rise to that level. So the next place we went to was both emergency management services, so fire and police, to evaluate their response times. They also have to take into account the expansion that is forthcoming with 67. It's hard to see past what we have today, but this is 90% in construction. And so because of all of that, it was never deemed to rise to that level, because even though the traffic impact study didn't dictate that, the question we had was, would it be appropriate response times to the area, just not our project? And because there's a lot of different ways. First of all, we don't own any property on 6th Avenue. We are completely shielded off from any access point over there. Additionally, what if an emergency was deemed necessary? There's crash gates, things like that. None of that was brought about by staff that thoroughly looked over the traffic impact study and had multiple other conversations with both traffic, police, and fire.
I guess I would request that the Planning Commission just seriously take into account the increased traffic along our streets. And if another entrance could not be made to 6th Avenue, then some kind of measures to deter traffic from the surrounding streets, whether it's additional speed humps or whatever. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? You know, this, on Fairway, I do think there's some things that we can look at. You know, other places we put in small roundabouts, you know, that may be something that would work on Fairway. So I do think there's something that the city could take a look at to deter people from using Fairway as a cut through. And, you know, we're aware of that. I would say growth always causes traffic. I mean, it just comes with it. We want growth. We all want nice restaurants here. We want retail here. Well, we have to be large enough to support those. And the only way we can is by more rooftops, you know, more homes for people to live here. So sometimes, you know, you have to trade off the good with the bad. But hopefully we can mitigate some of this. You know, the police, their big issue is speed on Country Club Road. And this whole development is about slowing traffic. And of course, the more traffic you have on a small road, the slower it goes. So that is a positive. But, you know, we can't solve all the problems. We really can't. Anything else?
I have a question.
Okay.
Regarding the traffic. Earlier, it was mentioned that the traffic count is about 7,500 vehicles a day, and the capacity is 17,000.
That's correct.
Okay, so.
On Country Club Road.
Right, on Country Club Road. So with this development, this phase one, what is the estimate of the
Contributing.
increase?
I'll have Skipper.
Good evening, Scott Cawthorn with Skipper Consulting. Yes, we looked at the trip generated for the full build out of the development, and I mentioned earlier at the pre-meeting that it's about 400 cars trips producing a peak hour, and a good rule of thumb is that's about 10% of what the daily is. So 400 converted to daily would be about 4,000 cars. So we got about 7,500 existing. Another 4,000 gets us up to about 11,500. A two-lane roadway has a capacity that we use as a rule of thumb of about 17,000. So we're still, even at full build out 10 years down the road, with the growth rate, we're still within the capacity of the two-lane roadway.
As it is now? So,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And that's full build out, right?
Anyone else? All right, if not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion for approval?
Now this, Tommy, this has to go on to the council, or this is us? And then there'll be another document that the council has to do, right? Right, okay. So this is up to our approval, okay? So again, you had the motion, Mr. Pike, and Mr. Temple had the second. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission?
I'd just like to say, in any way, I know you have done this way, any way that you can work out anything to alleviate some of the traffic, try to do it, please. On Fairway and the other,
Yet.
what Susan asked you for, if it's any way that you can tweak your plans.
Yes, ma'am. And we did cause or create a split entrance to not make it so welcoming, where it makes it more challenging for people to utilize. One thing I do want to highlight about new urbanist development, or T&Ds, is our goal and objective is to have people come and get out of their cars and enjoy the surroundings. Additionally, Skipper Consulting is actively involved in a nationwide collaboration in evaluating how these types of developments and the diversity that we talked about during the workshop substantially and significantly underperforms a traditional subdivision traffic count. What I mean by that is they're not leaving and coming at the rate of a traditional subdivision. So we are looking at extraordinarily conservative numbers that have been backed up. I'm part of the National Town Builders Association. I leave for New York next week to go review some projects that have been, and we've reviewed 2 every year of these T&D types. It's substantially less. We just don't have the mechanisms to lower our numbers to demonstrate that. But I hear you loud and clear, Ms. Tate, and we will actively continue to look at that, not only with our development, but with the City of Decatur's help.
And I think engineering needs to take a strong look at that as well. So. All right, please call the roll.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Gordon. Yes. Tate.
Yes.
Wayne.
Yes.
Terry. Yes. Temple.
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay, so this master plan is approved with an 8-0 vote. Ready to move to the next one? Carmen?
Next, we have the consent agenda on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, let me read my little part about that.
Yes, sir.
I failed to mention this. Anybody's free to go that came for this other case, or you're welcome to stay if you'd like. The next part of the agenda is the consent agenda. This is the part of the agenda that the Planning Commission has the final decision and does not require a public hearing. These items are read together, voted on as a group. Today we have these type. Layout plat, that gives a general idea of the lot layout for a subdivision. Site plans, proposed developments on the collector street or above. These plans show building placement, parking, circulation, landscaping, things like that. Certificate to subdivide or consolidate. This is a one-step process to subdivide or consolidate no more than 3 lots. A survey is required. Now, if you read that first case.
All right. We have the layout plan for Phase 1 of Country Club Road. It is 11.50 acres. The current zone is RD redevelopment, and the applicant is Purewright McAnally. The landowner is Cook Properties LLC, and the location is 2401 Country Club Road Southeast. Their request is to construct 65 units on 11.5 acres of land, and their proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is regional mixed use, and One Decatur street typology is Country Club Road Southeast. It's a minor arterial street. There are no conditions to be met. A point of information. Number 1 is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. Number 2, all proposed food services facilities will be required to meet Decatur Utilities grease interceptor requirements. Next, we have site plan 705-25. It is 1.08 acres. The current zone is M-1A Expressway Commercial, and the applicant is Dynamic Engineering Consultants. The landowner is Triland LLC, and the location is 1104 Bedline Place, Southeast. Their request is to approve their site plan, and their proposed land use is commercial. One Decatur future land use is regional mixed use, and One Decatur street typology is Bedline Place Southeast. It's a local street. Conditions to be met. Number 1, 6-inch service lines must connect at a manhole. Number 2, electric on north side of property underground may need an easement. Number 3, please provide construction details. Number 4, page C100, please ensure that 9-foot by 18-foot parking spots might require a 180 square foot requirement. Number 5, please provide phase 2 erosion control plan. Number 6, please provide construction entrance as well as the exact location. Number 7, please provide RCP Class 3 for under Bedline Place Southeast. Number 8, please change Note 5 to ALDOT standard. And number 9, please provide silk fence location. A point of information is number one, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. And number two, gas is available. Certificate 3642-25, it is 8.84 acres, and the current zone is M-1A Expressway Commercial. The applicant is Pure Right McAnally, and the landowner is Hernandez Universal Properties, Inc. The location is 928 Sims Street Southwest, and their request is to subdivide one parcel into two. The proposed land use is commercial/residential, and one Decatur future land use is community commercial. One Decatur street typology is Sims Street is a collector urban. Conditions to be met is number one, please show easement for sewer main. And a point of information is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction.
Okay, now, I'm sorry, but I missed this. We need the next one, 364325, we need to pull out consent and vote on it separately since Ms. Tate will have to recuse, so no, not yet. We'll come back to it. We'll set it aside, continue with the rest, and we can vote on that.
All right. Next, we have Certificate 3644-25. It is 6.4 acres. The current zone is B6, R4, and M1. The applicant is X-Ram Inc., and the landowner is Decatur Communication Properties. The location is 1301 Central Parkway, and the request is to consolidate 4 lots into one. The proposed land use is commercial, and one Decatur future land use is core neighborhood and flex employment center. One Decatur street typology is Central Parkway Southwest is a minor arterial. And conditions to be met is number one, please provide an electric easement. And number two, and a point of information, number one, any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. And number two, if any development is to take place on this property now or in the future, that a floodplain development permit will be required before any development work can commence.
Okay.
Next, we have Certificate 3645-25. It is 0.56 acres. The current zone is R5 single-family patio homes, and the applicant is Pure Right McAnally. The landowner is Kenneth and Mary Gamble, and Rick and Caroline Sanders, and the location is 2015 and 2019 Park Terrace. The request is to approve adjustments of the lot lines, and the proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is residential mid to high, and one Decatur street typology is Park Terrace is a local street. There are no conditions to be met, and a point of information is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. Next, we have Certificate 3646-25. It is 7.54 acres. The current zone is AG-1 agriculture. The applicant is X-Ram, and the landowner is Amber Marshall and Opening Doors Innovations, LLC. The location is 5129 and 5131, Highway 31 South, and their request is to consolidate and subdivide 4 lots into 2 lots. Their proposed land use is commercial, and one Decatur future land use is regional edge and agriculture. One Decatur street typology is Highway 31 South is a principal arterial, and there are no conditions to be met. A point of information is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction. And number two, no wastewater is at this location.
All right, is there anyone from the public that would wish to speak to any of these requests? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Wade, second by Mr. Borden. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission?
This is also just for those excluding that one certificate.
Right, we're holding out 3643-25. All right, please call the roll.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Gordon? Yes. Page?
Yes.
Wade?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Kimball?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Yes.
And these are all approved 8-0. Now we'll go back to 3643. And Ms. Tate's going to recuse herself. She's on the board for COW.
Certificate 3643-25, it is .47 acres. The current zone is R3 single-family residential, and the applicant is Pre-Wright McAnally. The landowner is Ciota Group, Ciota Nonprofit, and the location is 208 and 212 Church Street. The request is to consolidate 2 lots into one, and the proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is core neighborhood, and One Decatur street typology is Church Street is a local street. There are no conditions to be met, and a point of information is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak to this? Not, do we have a motion to approve? Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Terry, second by Mr. Temple. Any questions or comments from anyone on the commission? Please call the roll.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Gordon? Yes. Wade?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Kimball?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is approved with a 7-0 vote. Ms. Tate, you can come back to your seat. Now we go into other business. These are items that go to the city council for final approval and do not require a public hearing. Or some of these items that go to the city council, some don't. Bond review, this is to review a bond to see if it can be adjusted to a lower amount based on work completed, or to review if expiring bond will be executed or not. Vacation request, this is vacate public right-of-way or easements, and then street name change. This process in which an established street may be changed by request of an applicant considered only if all affected properties have been notified that the change in name may require a change of physical address by the individual property owner and their expense. It is documented by the individual submitting the proposal that a minimum of 75% of all affected residents and business properties are in agreement on such street name change.
First, we have the bond review for Valley Park North. It is R3 single family. The applicant is Pre-Wright McAnally. The location is Valley Park subdivision. Their request is to release their bond of $60,000 for sidewalks. There are no conditions to be met.
Do you have any comments on this? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion for approval?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Wade. Please call the roll.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Wade?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Kimball? Yes. Earl?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's approved 8-0.
Next, we have vacation 556-25. FYI, this is a recommendation to the city council, and it's .18 acres. The current zone is M-1A, Expressway Commercial. The applicant is Pre-Wright McAnally, and the landowner is Hernandez Universal Properties, Inc. The location is 928 Sim Street, and their request is to vacate .8 acres of a 20-foot gas easement. Proposed land use is commercial, and One Decatur future land use is community commercial. One Decatur street typology is Sim Street is a collector urban, and there are no conditions to be met. A point of information is any relocation of utilities will be at the owner's expense, and any relocation needs to occur before construction, and DU Gas has approved this as well.
Okay, do we have a motion to recommend?
motion to recommend. Second.
Motion by Mr. Gordon, second by Mr. Pike. Any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Reed? Wade?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Kimball?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
So this will be recommended to the council with an 8-0 vote.
Next, we have a street name change, Ryan Drive to Steve Perkins Drive. It is .037 acres. The current zone is R-MH, single-family manufactured housing, and the applicant is Sharonda Ackland. The landowner is the city of Decatur, and the address is Ryan Drive. Their request is to change the street name to Steve Perkins Drive, and the proposed land use is residential. One Decatur future land use is low residential, and one Decatur street typology is Ryan Drive is the local street. Conditions to be met, we will have to add one, and the conditions we're gonna add is that the applicant gets 75% of the signatures, which would consist of about 3 more signatures.
But did you say, what was that last one? Missing?
3 more signatures.
3 would make it 30.
That's 75%, correct.
All right, is there anyone from the public that would wish to speak to this request?
Hello, my name is Sharonda Ackland, and so before I did prepare a statement to read, but before I do that, I want to say that in the reaching of the 75%, there was some miscommunication on my end, and so we only went to 30 of the 41 properties due to those being rental homes. We did not think that we needed to go there. So of the 30-plus properties that we did visit, there was only 1 no. So, just to put that out there.
And you are a citizen, and you actually live on Ryan Drive?
That is correct. I'm a citizen of Decatur, and I live on Ryan Drive. So, in the wake of the death of Steve Perkins on September 29th, 2023, I feel compelled to bring constant awareness to a life that was taken 5 doors down the street from me. On that night, a community was shattered and a neighborhood broken by the taking of a member who was well loved by his neighbors. Honoring someone's legacy by renaming the street where his life was ultimately taken should be seen as a remembrance of something that should have never happened. Stephen Clay Perkins was born January 4th, 1984, the second-born son to James and Velma Perkins. Steve grew up right down the street in Hillsborough, Alabama, and he was a graduate of East Lawrence High School, class of 2002. He was a loving husband and father. He loved God and dedicated his life to Christ at an early age. Steve took health and fitness very seriously. He was a member at several gyms throughout his fitness journey here in Decatur. Steve was a helper and loved people. He would help anyone that he saw in the need of help. For example, he gave people in the community rides to work. There were plenty of times Steve would stop and help people that were stranded. Steve was, let's see. Also, one day, Steve and his wife were outside, and their neighbor, Mrs. Susan Capps, had fallen down in her front yard. Steve was there to assist her and carry her inside and make sure that she was okay. There was another time when Mrs. Capps needed medical assistance, and she called Steve to come take her to the ER because she was home by herself and she trusted him. He was present in his children's lives. He was present at all of their school functions and sporting events. Steve was a friendly, and great neighbor. He looked out for his neighbors, offering a helping hand of respect and kindness. Steve was also a trustworthy neighbor, and his neighbors would trust him to watch after their homes while on vacation and help them with projects from time to time. Though it's been 19 months, Steve was prematurely taken from us and this community. It still feels like yesterday since we lost him. To preserve his legacy, we would love to leave a beautiful mark in honor of Steve's legacy where he and his wife started their family, and to show a gratitude of thanks to the community for their support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
there's not a pen to write, but I am Sarah French, and I am a citizen of Decatur, and I would just like to say that I was one of the ones that went and got signatures, and every last homeowner was very happy to sign except for one, and matter of fact, some of them were even brought to tears at the fact that the city would do this. So we hope it's approved.
Can you get a pen up there for us? Anyone else?
Hey, my name is Sierra Taylor. I'm a resident of Decatur, specifically Ryan Drive. I think it would be a true honor to have our street renamed after someone who was building his life on Ryan Drive. He was robbed of his life on Ryan Drive, and I think that it would be a great memory to have his name be honored, for his children to be able to say, hey, you know, our home is on Steve Perkins Drive, where my father was taken from me. I think it would just be a great thing. And my understanding is the one person that is a naysayer in this has personal issues with the family. Not Steve himself, but someone outside of Steve. And I just don't think that that should be enough to hinder honoring his memory.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Rico. I did not come prepared. I just found out.
Rico, can you state your last name?
Elliott, Rico Elliott. I live on Ryan Drive. Obviously, emotions were high at that time, maybe still now. I totally agree, or totally get what they're trying to do, honor his memory, but, you know, I just don't agree renaming it. Obviously nothing against the family or anything like that, but, you know, I didn't move on Perkins Drive. You know, I live on Ryan Drive, and just feel that's how it should stay, so thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Anissa Sophia Lodge, and I'm a resident here in Decatur. Give me a second, my name's kind of long. Ken, I've met you before. Some of you may know me, some of you may not, but I think it's important that we use this opportunity to honor a man that this community loved, that was an asset to this community. I know for a lot of people it may be uncomfortable. I know it may make you a little weary, but despite the small minority, the majority of the city loves Steve. Black, white, Hispanic have come out to support him in the last 20 months. And I just wanted to state, a street name won't bring Steve back, but it's a step toward truth, recognition, and accountability. It's a way to honor his legacy and show gratitude, not to just the family, but to the community that supported Steve. And that's all I needed to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Elois Perkins, first cousin of Steve Perkins. I live on Ryan Drive. I think I've been there longer than anybody that lives over there right now. I love Ryan Drive, and I would love to see Steve's name on the street sign saying Steve Perkins Drive Southwest. Steve was a good guy. He believed in God, same as myself, his mom, his wife. We all believed in God. So like I say, I don't know if, I think he said he needed one more signature. With God's help, let God speak for that sign. Let God speak for all of us. If that one sign holds us back, God be the glory. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening.
My name is Justin Shepard, and I live on Ryan Drive. And I think a huge disservice to my community if you didn't name it after Steve.
Anybody else like to speak?
My name is Brandy Taylor, and I am a member of Decatur City. I assume I'm the one person that she's talking about that said no, and it has nothing to do with Steve or Cottrell or anybody because I love them. My daughter is his niece. It has nothing to do with her father or anybody else. I said what I said because it's painful. We don't even go down that street anymore. And I understand Ryan Drive is associated with it as well, because anytime you say where you live, there's always somebody says, oh, that's where Steve got shot. That's what happened to Steve. Steve was technically like a brother to me. I've known him since he was 16 because I dated his brother and I had a child with his brother. So it has nothing to do with not wanting to honor his memory. It's painful to see that. His wife, bless her heart, and the kids haven't even come back to the house to stay there. I understand why. And I'm not the only signature. There are multiple neighbors who own their home, do not rent, that did not even know about this and did not sign either. And that's all I have to say on that.
My name is Mark Wayne Burgess. I'm a former copy indicator. I served for 10 years. Steve is my cousin. I understand certain people here have differences that they want to voice. But if this happened to your family, you would really think about this a lot different. They took someone away from us that we really and deeply cared about, and I'm not signing anything. But they took that away from us, and people want to sit here and take their emotions out in reference to certain things that you disagree with. Look at everything as a whole. Get out of your ego. We don't need egos here in the city of Decatur. That's what's killing everything now. If you get out of your ego and understand that this would help the community, you will see it differently.
When was the last time you all had to do a name change in the city of Decatur?
We had one, it seemed like it was last year, where there was a street that was misspelled. We did a name change because to correct the spelling.
Okay. You have an opportunity today to vote on this measure with or without the magic 75%. I would offer to you that you all are very tone deaf and emotionally vacant if you cannot understand what this could mean to healing for our city, especially for somebody who claims they want to be our mayor. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is James Craig. I live on Ryan Drive. Steve was my cousin. And me and Steve, both of us from Hillsboro. And we was raised just like for real. So I used to tell Steve he was the mayor around on that side of Ryan. And I was mayor on this side. And, you know, and we was the same way. We always look out for our neighbors. And I don't hold nothing against nobody. Everybody had their own opinions, had their own decisions on what they want to do. But I'm for Steve Perkins Drive, you know, because like I say, Steve was a good person. And that's just the way his mother raised us, you know, and our family down, the community Hillsboro taught us to be a community, you know. And it's a couple of people on our street that don't know each other, don't speak, you know, but that's fine. But I tend to wave at everybody, and Steve was the same way. So that's what I feel like a community is about. Helping your neighbor, even though you don't know your neighbor. I'm not a nosy neighbor, but I know what's going on in my neighborhood. I promise you that. And I done called police out there several times. And I will do it again. So y'all come out there playing around? Oh, okay.
Thank you.
No, I ain't those now. I pay attention.
All right, anybody else? Okay. Okay, basically what our responsibility is to verify the paperwork and to hold this hearing. The policy requires a 75% signature. It doesn't require it for us to vote on it, but it would be something before it moved to council that you would have to get, and I think it's just one or two more votes, and you didn't go to every home, so that shouldn't be a problem for you. So we would, to everybody knowing here, that we're just voting whether to recommend this forward to the council based on what we've heard today. So do I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second. Motion by Mr. Pikewitz, Ross, Mr. Terry, second. All right, any comments or questions from anyone on the commission? If not, please call the roll.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Hay?
Yes.
Wade?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Temple?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
All right, this will move forward with an 8-0 recommendation.
Thank you.
I really appreciate everybody being respectful and coming up and pleading your case. And we appreciate that very much. Thank you all. Okay, no other business before us. We are adjourned.